So the prone sequence, we usually start at the sacral connective tissue, and because the tissue joins from superficial to deep, there's no need to put excessive compression there. In fact, we just use the weight of the machine first without micro movement to ensure there's not an oversensitivity. We sit there for approximately a minute. Then we call for micro movement, which you've already instructed on, where we'll have them go through an anterior tilt, hold end range, posterior tilt, hold end range, say 3 to 5 seconds. Then we'll start to migrate out laterally around the iliac crest, really slow with the micro movement. So they don't put a lot of force into the movement, just enough to get the tissue to glide. All the way to the greater trochanter. And we'll spend some time there, maybe 2 to 3 minutes, seeing as a lot of tissues in the gluteal area can join into the greater trochanter. So we want to make sure that there's relative tissue movement at that juncture. From there, we'll go through the gluteal fascia, all the way down where the glute enters into the IT band. Here, with just static compression, we can sink in a little bit deeper as long as the tissue resiliency allows for it. I'll oftentimes ask the person to knee flex lightly and then internally and externally rotate. So now we have what we would call a femoral driver as well as a pelvic driver. And then we start to migrate over towards where the hamstrings attach on the ischial tuberosity. Here we can sink quite deeply. So we'll spend some time layer by layer sinking in, utilizing the micropelvic movement. Anterior tilt is going to bring the tissue taut, whereas a posterior tilt will allow us to sink in deeper. We're never pushing. We're allowing the weight of the machine and our own force on the machine to sink into the depths relative to the client's resiliency change. That's the key. If we push too hard, it usually creates this motor intention to withdraw away, and that is counterproductive. From here, we'll now go down the center of the leg, and our ultimate intention here is to split the hamstrings, if you will. So if you look at the anatomy of the medial hamstring and the lateral hamstring, we have different, what we would call windows or grooves. Technically, it's a septa, a dividing partition. And deep within there, you also have the sciatic nerve that sandwiches between the hamstring and the adductor. So it behooves us to make sure we have resiliency down that posterior chain. In addition, adding the knee flexion and extension, internal and external rotation, very important for the relative tissue motion. Now when we get to the fossa, the back of the knee, really important that the compression you were using in the middle of the leg, the belly, in between the hamstrings, lightens up so it's just the weight of the machine. So one of the ways we avoid any overcompression at this neurovascular juncture behind the knee is we'll have a person squeeze the quadricep, dorsiflex the foot, and that brings the knee into more extension, which enables us to go over the fossa, so not missing. Then we will go through the calf, same thing, split the medial and lateral gastroc, they're the superficial tissues, and use ankle motion as the driver for the relative tissue motion. So dorsiflexion. I'll have them just do nice easy circles, both counterclockwise, clockwise, and then go all the way. When we get to the Achilles tendon, right by the heel, we just sit on that region anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes. Again, dorsiflexion, circumduction, and then we move from the prone position into what we would call prone kneeling. Now here, critically important, we want the toes to extend back. Purpose being is the plantar fascia and the Achilles tendon are technically one tissue. So that's the purpose of being in that position, is we put it on a pre-stretch. And oftentimes I'll ask the client to take their toes and push into the table lightly so they actually activate the muscles in this stretch position while we're actually going down the lateral side of the foot, the lateral arch, as well as the medial arch. If we can get through the center, we'll do that, but oftentimes the tissue will push out so far, it behooves us more on the lateral part of the foot, and the medial part, we get much more benefit to that.